speak now to our colleague, Gwede Mantashe, who is standing by with the SACP General Secretary, Mapaila. Gwede, good evening to you, and thanks for doing this. Let's start with what is being reported about the SACP. I know that they've spoken about a whole host of issues that affect the country. Of course, coming out of such a meeting, you would expect them to do that. But interestingly, or should we say controversially, one of the people that has been the longest serving leader in the SACP is Gwede Mantashe, and the understanding is that he has been removed unceremoniously. Is the General Secretary able to expand on what the reasons were for this?
Well, Xoli, I'm actually going to get right straight into it because as the General Secretary is standing here, we were just discussing the issue of Gwede Mantashe. Can you perhaps give us details as to what happened?
Well, as our first DGS, Comrade Matala Masuku explained, Comrade Gwede just missed attending meetings of the Central Committee and not sending apologies. And we had a process of engaging with him. We sent people to talk to him, to alert him about this, and we resolve whatever technical problems that he might have, particularly when changing offices and so forth. But nonetheless, it didn't work out. He still continued to miss meetings. And we're obliged, if you miss a continuous number of meetings without apology, to recuse you from that leadership collective. He was an important member of the Central Committee and Politburo as well. Because of his long service, both in the party and in the liberation movement, in the trade union, in the ANC. So his absence was a major blow in a sense that we invited him to the Politburo, understanding his major role in the ANC, but as an invitation. That's the extent to which we revered him. But he just didn't attend meetings and even missed Congress, for instance. So to the extent that all of these things happens, and there seems to be no correction, self-correction, we felt that maybe it will send the wrong message in the leadership collective of the SACP, because they can miss meetings, they can miss deployments, important duties assigned by the party, and they will know that nothing will happen to them, and they will say, why not taking action against this one? And you take action against us. So all the time, organizations have to insist on discipline within their ranks, and this was one of those, but it was not adversarial thing. It was simply to say, let's recuse you so that your name doesn't appear all the time as one who misses meetings. It's not a good thing. He can't miss an ANC meeting, for instance. You won't expect SACP members who are in the leadership structures of the ANC to miss those meetings, for instance, as chairperson. So he should give the same respect that he gives to the ANC as well to the Communist Party.
All right, so what does this mean now?
Well, it only means that he's not in the Central Committee. He still retains his membership of the SACP. We have not revoked the membership. We're just only removing him from the leadership position or recusing him from the leadership position. So he doesn't have to say, if he's not there, like when we're having this meeting, why I'm not there. That's the only thing. But Communist Party had a huge influence in his ideological makeup. We hope he can carry that mission as still a member to fulfill the mission of the class, of the working class.
Talking about fulfilling the missions of the working class, this is what you're going to be focusing on as you go into local elections. Perhaps give us details in terms of what have you got in place now as you prepare for that?
Well, at the moment, we have not launched our elections campaign. We are still training our structures, developing the framework for the manifesto, the issues that we need to take up and so forth. But as you know, our program is not an elections program. We don't exist for elections. Election is one aspect of part of our work. And that's why this obsession with elections, we don't sometimes understand it because we do more. Already we are in what you call the People's Red Caravan, which is a campaign of the SACP to rebuild our communities, largely broken by neoliberal and capitalist system. We go into villages, in the townships. We launched this program in the village of Mohlabe in Northwest, where we are dealing with household-based food production, household-based employment, household-based income generation, as well as communal food production. And in Mohlabe, we've already set up, for instance, a communal farm, working with the people there. About 8 young people are in that particular farm. I'll be going there in the next week or so to do further work with them for further expansion of that particular communal farm. They've put up some crops, they're putting up some chicken, and there will be other things that are put up in their own communal farm, working with the traditional leaders. We've done the same in Matibidi. Matibidi one was even far better in a sense that we're able to have 2 farms that we planted. One farm, we planted more than 25,000 crops of spinach in one single week. That belongs to the community, doesn't belong to the Communist Party. So local people work there and take ownership of this. And it's not just only farm and other things. And that's also where we launched the first communal store in the country.
And those are some of the issues that you're highlighting. You've spoken about working and having a community that works. Perhaps are those the issues that you are worried about being with the ANC at the moment?
Yes, the collapse of community development, the absence of governance, local government, even in these communities. When we arrived in Mohlabe, for instance, we found that there was the recent floods have destroyed the community bridge. It's not been repaired. The roads are damaged. They are not being repaired. So some attempts to do work happens when we are there. After we made the call, we repaired the bridge, something that should be done by government. We are repairing a school in Mohlabe that was taken the roof was taken off by storm in 2023. It's still like that. So children have to share two different classes has to share one class. So we are entering into the community to say to them, we do community assessment. Then they say, the school has been taken by a storm, and we work together to rectify that with the community. We're not coming in as the messiahs. We work together with the community to find solutions. And in that regard, for instance, we worked with them. We found solutions. The school has been repaired, the primary school. After the primary school, they will repair the secondary school.
So what's your view then in terms of local government, especially because you are part of the alliance, and this all that is happening in local government happened when you were there too?
Yes, local government has largely collapsed in many respects, unable to provide proper services even in the cities. I mean, I stay here in Johannesburg. Sometimes we don't have water. It's unheard of that this kind of things should be a regular occurrence. Electricity, we have known about the crisis of electricity and so forth. It's not just about local government. There's been a general decline of governance on the basis of neoliberal economic choices. And this is very important for people to understand, even ANC members to understand. The choice for neoliberalism, that is to choose private corporations over public economy, is the essence of the crisis that we face in this country, because government can only say much because they've taken all the power to private capital. That is why we've just seen recently Eskom. There were somebody was found guilty for selling to Eskom some container that is worth 60,000 for 2.6 million rand. Why doesn't people in the Eskom office go and buy containers for that matter? Because of these tenderpreneurs tenders. We have said this thing must come to an end. We must build the capacity of the state institutions to deliver services. But this is only one of those instances where a problem has been picked up. It's the same in the provision of water services across the country. We've been fighting the water tankering thing. That is why in the statement, we made a call to our people, our community, to assist us. Because in all these communities that we go for food production, majority don't have water. We have to put water services. In Matibidi, we had to put 3 boreholes as a Communist Party for the community. Because we wanted to start this program several years ago. We didn't do it for the elections. Several years ago, we went to Matibidi to try and put up this program, but the people said, we don't have water to drink. How do you come with the food production program? So we had to create to put up boreholes in the village. It's a white village. 3 boreholes we put up. One of those is where we are now running one of the farms where we planted 25,000 crops of spinach, and we've also set a chicken co-op in that area, as well as a fish farm in that same area, and a car wash for the youth of that particular area. So these are just some of the examples. The collapse has gone deeper, but precisely because we have handed over capacity, power of this thing to capital. So in this regard, we have called for people to help us with basic things like borehole, drilling capacity, tractors, and so forth and so forth, because we have to dig deep as a Communist Party without money to try and fundraise to get this thing done in the communities.
But surely you could have done something whilst you were still in a space where the government was functional. As a Communist Party, as part of the alliance, you said you had a word and you were able to talk to ANC. As the government that was in charge at that time, you could have been able to change this.
That's exactly the essence of the reconfiguration of the alliance. The people who are deployed in government are ANC members. They are deployed in government in the ticket of the ANC. Immediately they are sworn in as councillors, as MPs and MPs, deputy ministers, ministers, MEC, and so forth. They are accountable to the ANC. Now the ANC gives them instruction without us. Even when we have problems, say, can we rectify this? There's no collective rectification of the problems. This is the reason that caused this debate around changing the manner in which the alliance operates, so that there's collective deployment, collective accountability, even collective of recall of cadres who are deployed and are not performing well, or they are even becoming corrupt. Now we can only point out to the problem and have no power to reverse it. That has been the case. We have been fighting. I mean, we went to Mute several years ago. One of the problems we found there was the problems of water as the SACP. And when we went there, we ultimately went there together, collectively as the alliance. But we leave this thing in the hands of the ANC. We go back to the same area a few years later. These problems have not changed. They have not addressed the problem. But we were there together. So this is part of the reason why we have to take responsibility as the Communist Party, be accountable to the people, unless the ANC itself fixes this question of how to make them account. So in that case, we can take collective responsibility. So we don't have, I always say this, we don't have a single minister. No single minister accounts to us. We have members who are ministers, like Comrade Gwede. He doesn't account to us. He accounts to the ANC. He's a member of the Communist Party too. So, and several others, whether it's Comrade Blade or Bute and everybody else, the final decisions comes from the ANC. They can only use their training of the Communist Party to understand the deeper questions of the working class. But under neoliberalism, the government comes and say, you cut the budget. Without discussing with the people in the alliance, we have to accept that. There was a time, for instance, we called an urgent meeting of the Alliance Political Council when the Treasury sent a letter across government to cut budgets. No discussions in the alliance. We initiated an urgent meeting. We said, no, we can't accept this thing. So these are some of the things that we have failed to do because the alliance has not functioned in the manner that it should have. So that's why we've called for the change in which the alliance operates, what we call the reconfiguration of the alliance. So in that regard, we have taken responsibility for even the failures in governance when we actually should not have taken over those kind of responsibilities. We have initially said we will take both the failures and the successes. But among the failures then became massive corruption. We launched a huge campaign against corruption and so forth. And we now said we can't take responsibility even for wrong things.
Thank you very much for speaking to us. That is Solly Mapaila speaking to us, of course, about what is happening currently with regards to the alliance. Solly.
Thank you very much, Gwede Mantashe, asking some very pertinent questions there of the SACP's General Secretary.